Hello, Shalom. Welcome to day 138 of Daily Bread. We'll be reading from Scriptures 2009. We'll be reading in the book of Numbers, chapter 33, 2 Kings, chapter 23, Psalms 134, Proverbs 18, and Romans, chapter 7. Numbers, chapter 33 on page 179. There are the departures of the children of Israel who went out of the land of Mizraim by their divisions under the hand of Moshe and Aaron. And Moshe wrote down the starting points of their departures at the mouth of Yahweh. And these are their departures according to their starting points. So they departed from Ramses in the first new moon on the 15th day of the first new moon on the morrow of the Pesach. The children of Israel went out with boldness before the eyes of all the Mizraimites. And the Mizraimites were burying all their firstborn, whom Yahweh had stricken among them. Also on their mighty ones Yahweh had executed judgments. Then the children of Israel departed from Ramses and camped at Sukkot. And they departed from Sukkot and encamped at Etmon, which is at the edge of the wilderness. And they departed from Etmon and turned back to Pi-Hathrom, which is east of Baal-Zephon, and they camped near Migdal. And they departed from before Hathral and passed over through the midst of the sea into the wilderness, went 3 days' journey in the wilderness of Etham and camped at Marah. And they parted from Marah and came to Eliam. And at Eliam were 12 springs of water and 70 palm trees. So they camped there. And they departed from Elim and camped by the Sea of Reeds. And they departed from the Sea of Reeds and camped in the wilderness of Sin. And they departed from the wilderness of Sin and camped at Dophah. And they departed from Dophah and camped at Elush. And departed from Elush and camped at Raquim. And there was no water for the people to drink. And they departed from Raquim and camped in the wilderness of Zion. And they departed from the wilderness of Zion and camped at Kibroth Hawatha, and departed from Kibroth Hawatha and camped near Hasor. And they departed from Hasroth and camped at Rithmon. And they departed from Rithmon and camped at Rimmon Peretz. And they departed from Rimmon Peretz and camped at Libahan. And they departed from Libahan and camped at Risha. And departed from Risha and camped at Kehath. And departed from Kehath and camped near Mount Shafer. And departed from Mount Shafer and camped at Haran. And departed from Haran and camped at Megaloth. And they departed from Megaloth and camped at Tahath. And departed from Tahath and camped at Terah. And departed from Terah and camped at Mithbah. And departed from Mithal and camped at Hashmon. And departed from Hashmon and camped at Mashroth. And departed from Mashroth and camped at Ben-Yahan. And departed from Ben-Yahan and camped at Hor Hagiel. And departed from Hor Hagiel and camped at Yobath. Departed from Yobath and camped at Abroth, and departed from Abroth and camped at Essen-Geber. And he departed from Essen-Geber and camped in the wilderness of Zin, which is in Kadesh. Departed from Kadesh and camped at Mount Horn, on the boundary of the land of Edom. Then Aaron the priest went up to Mount Horn at the mouth of Yahweh, and died there in the 14th year after the children of Israel had come out of the land of Mizraim, on the first day of the 5th new moon. And Aaron was 123 years old when he had died on Mount Horn. And the sovereign of Arad, the Canaanite, who dwelt in the south of the land of Canaan, heard of the coming of the children of Israel. So they departed from Mount Horn, and camped at Salam, and they departed from Salam and camped at Pohon, and departed from Pohon and camped at Obath, and they departed from Obath and camped near Abram, at the border of Moab, and departed from Eam and camped near Dibon Gad, and departed from Dibon Gad and camped at Ammon de Lamath, and departed from Ammon de Lamath and camped near the mountains of Abram before Nebo, and departed from the mountains of Abram and camped in the desert plains of Moab by the Jordan of Jericho. And they camped by the Jordan they camped by the Jordan from Beth Yeshmon as far as Abel Shimon at the desert plains of Moab. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe in the desert plains of Moab at the Jordan of Jericho, saying, Speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, When you pass over the Jordan into the land of Canaan, then you shall drive out all the inhabitants of the land from before you, and shall destroy all their engraved stones, and shall destroy all their molded images, and lay waste all their high places. And you shall possess the land, and dwell in it, for I have given you the land to possess. And you shall divide the land by lot as an inheritance among your clans. To the larger you give the larger inheritance, and to the smaller you give the smaller inheritance. Wherever the lot falls to anyone, that is his. You inherit according to the tribes of your fathers. And if you do not drive out the inhabitants of the land from before you, then it shall be that those whom you let remain shall be pricks in your eyes and thorns in your sides, and they shall trouble you in the land where you dwell. And it shall be that I do to you as I thought to do to them. 2 Kings chapter 23, page 409. And the sovereign went, and the sovereign sent, and they gathered all the elders of Judah and Jerusalem to him. And the sovereign went up to the house of Yahweh with all the men of Judah and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem with him, and the priests and the prophets and all the people, both small and great. And he read in their hearing all the words of the book of the covenant which had been found in the house of Yahweh. And the sovereign stood by the column and made a covenant before Yahweh to follow Yahweh and to guard his commands and his witnesses and his laws with all his heart and all his being, to establish the words of this covenant which were written in this book. And all the people stood at the covenant. stood to the covenant. Then the sovereign commanded Eliyahu the priest and the priests of the second order and the doorkeepers to bring out of the hekel of Yahweh all the objects that were made for Baal and for Asherah and for all the host of the heavens. And he burned them outside of Jerusalem in the fields of Kiram, and took their ashes to Bethel. And he put down the black-robed priests, whom the sovereigns of Judah had appointed to burn incense on the high place in the cities of Judah, and in the places all around Jerusalem, and those who burned incense to Baal, to the sun, and to the moon, and to the constellations, and to the host of the heavens. And he brought out the Ashim from the house of Yahweh to the Wadi Quran outside Jerusalem, and burned it at the Wadi Quran, and ground it into ashes, and threw its ashes on the burial sites of the sons of the people. And he broke down the houses of the male cult prostitutes that were in the house of Yahweh, where the women wove tapestries for the Asher. And he brought all the priests from the cities of Judah, and defiled the high places where the priests had burned incense, from Gibad to Bathsheba, and broke down the high places at the gates which were at the entrance of the gate of Yehosha, the governor of the city, which were to the left of the city gate. However, the priests of the high places did not come up to the slaughter place of Yahweh in Jerusalem, but they ate unleavened bread among their brothers. And he defiled Topath, which is in the valley of the son of Hinnom, so that no man could make his son or his daughter pass through the fire of Moloch. And he did away with the horses that the sovereigns of Judah had given to the sun at the entrance of the house of Yahweh, by the room of Nathan Melech the eunuch, that were in the court. And he burned the chariots of the sun with fire, and the slaughter places that were on the roof of the upper room of Avazim, which the sovereigns of Judah had made. And the slaughter places which Manish had made in the two courtyards of the house of Yahweh, the sovereign broke down, and rushed from there, and threw their dust into the Wadi Quran. And the sovereign defiled the high places that were before Jerusalem, which were in the right hand of the mountain of destruction, which Solomon, sovereign of Israel, built for Ashtoreth, the abomination of the Sidonians, and for Chemosh, the abomination of the Moabites, and for Milcom, the abomination of the children of Ammon. And he broke it in pieces, the pillars, and cut down the Ashim, and filled their places with the bones of men, and also the slaughter places that was at Bethel, and the high place which Yorab, son of Nebat, made, by which he made Israel sin. Both the slaughter places and the high places he broke down. And he burned the high place, and ground it to dust, and burned the Asher. Then Yoahashu turned and saw the burial sites that were on the mountain, and he sent and took the bones out of the burial sites, and burned them on the slaughter place, and defiled it according to the word of Yahweh, which the man of Elohim proclaimed. Who proclaims these words? And he said, what tombstone is this that I see? And the men of the city said to him, It is the burial site of the man of Elohim who came from Judah, and proclaimed these matters which you have done against the slaughter places of Bethel. And he said, Let him alone, let no one move his bones. So they left his bones alone with the bones of the prophet who came from Samarim. And Jehoiash also took away all the houses of the high places that were in the cities of Samarim, which the sovereigns of Israel had made to provoke. And he did to them according to all the deeds he did at Bethel. And he slaughtered all the priests of the high places who were there on the slaughtered places, and burned men's bones on them, and went back to Jerusalem. And the sovereign commanded all the people, saying, Prepare the Pesach to Yahweh, your Elohim, as is written in this book of the covenant. For such a Pesach had not been prepared since the days of the rulers who ruled Israel, nor in the days of the sovereign of Israel and the sovereigns of Judah. But in the 18th year of sovereign Yehoshua, this Pesach was prepared before Yahweh in Jerusalem. And also Jehoiash put away those who consulted mediums and spirits, and the household mighty ones, and idols, and all the abominations that were seen in the land of Judah and in Jerusalem, in order to establish the words of the Torah which were written in the book that Eliyahu the priest found in the house of Yahweh. And before him there was no sovereign like him, who turned back to Yahweh with all his heart, and with all his being, and with all his might, according to all the Torah of Moshe. And after him none rose up like him. However, Yahweh did not turn from the fierceness of his wrath, with which his wrath burned against Judah, because all the provocations with which Minish had provoked him. And Yahweh said, Even Judah I shall remove from my presence, as I have removed Israel, and I shall reject this city of Jerusalem, which I have chosen, the house of which I said my name is there. And the rest of the acts of Jehoiash, and all he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the sovereigns of Judah? And in his days, Pharaoh Necho, the sovereign of Misraim, went up against the sovereign of Ashur to the river of Euphrates, and sovereign Jehoiash went out to him, and he killed him at Migdal when he saw him. And his servants conveyed his body in the chariot of Migdal, and brought him to Jerusalem, and buried him in his own burial place. And the people of the land took Jehoahaz, son of Jehoiash, and anointed him, and set him up to reign in his father's place. And Jehoahaz was 23 years old when he began to reign. And he reigned 3 new moons in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hathmel, the daughter of Jeremiah of Liban. And he did evil in the eyes of Yahweh, according to all that his fathers did. And Pharaoh Necho imprisoned him at Riblah, the land of Hamath, to keep him from reigning in Jerusalem. And he imposed on the land a fine of 100 talents of silver and a talent of gold. And Pharaoh Necho set up Eliah, son of Jehoiash, to reign in place of his father Jehoiash, and changed his name to Jehoiakim. And Pharaoh took Jehoahaz and went to Misraim, and he died there. And Jehoiakim gave the silver and gold to Pharaoh. Only he taxed the land to give silver according to the mouth of Pharaoh. He extracted the silver and gold from the people of the land, from every one according to his assessment, to give to Pharaoh Necho. And Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Zibiah, the daughter of Padat of Ramam. And he did evil in the eyes of Yahweh, according to all that his fathers did. Psalms 134 on page 722. Come bless Yahweh, all you servants of Yahweh, who are standing in the house of Yahweh by night. Lift up your hands in the set-apart place, and bless Yahweh. Yahweh, maker of the heavens and the earth, does bless you from Zion. Proverbs 18 on page 745. The separatist seeks his own desire. He breaks out against all sound wisdom. A fool does not delight in understanding, but in uncovering his own heart. When a wrong one comes, scorn comes too, and with shame comes reproach. The words of a man's mouth are deep waters. The fountains of wisdom is a flowing stream. It is not good to show partiality to the wrong, or to turn aside the righteous in right ruling. A fool's lips enters into strife, and his mouth calls for blows. A fool's mouth is his ruin, and his lips are the snare of his life. The word of a slanderer are like delicacies, and they go down into the innermost parts of the heart. Also, he who is slack in his work is a brother of a master destroyer. The name of Yahweh is a strong tower. The righteous run into it and are safe. A rich man's wealth is his strong city, and like a high wall in his own imagination. Before destruction, the heart of a man is haughty, and before esteem is humility. He who answers a matter before he hears it is folly and shame to him. The spirit of a man sustains him in sickness, but he who does bear a broken spirit, the heart of understanding one gets knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. A man's gift makes room for him, and brings him before great men. The first to state his own case seems right, until another comes and examines him. The lot settles disputes and separates between the mighty. A brother transgressed against is a strong city, and contentions are like the bars of the citadel. A man's stomach is satisfied from the fruit of his mouth. He is satisfied with the increase of his lips. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those loving it eat its fruit. He who has found a wife has found good, and receives favor from Yahweh. The poor speaks beseechingly, but the rich answer fiercely. A man of many friends might come to ruin, but there is a loving one who sticks closer than a brother. Romans chapter 7. On page 1095. Or do you know, brothers, for I speak to those knowing the Torah, that the Torah rules over a man as long as he lives. For the married woman has been bound by Torah to the living husband, but if the husband dies, she is released from the Torah concerning her husband. So then, while her husband lives, she shall be called an adulteress if she becomes another man's. But if her husband dies, she is free from that part of the Torah, so that she is not an adulteress, having become another man's. So, my brothers, you also were put to death to the Torah through the body of Messiah, for you to become another's, the one who was raised from the dead, that we should bear fruit to Elohim. For when we were in the flesh, the passions of sins through the Torah were working in our members to bear fruit to death. But now we have been released from the Torah, having died to what we were held by, so that we should serve in newness of spirit and not oldness of letter. What then shall we say? Is the Torah sin? Let it not be. However, I did not know sin except through the Torah. For also the covetousness, I knew not if the Torah had not said, you shall not covet. But sin, verse 9. But sin, verse 8, But sin, having taken the occasion through the command, did work in me all sorts of covetousness. For apart from the Torah, sin is dead. And I was alive apart from the Torah once. But when the command came, the sin revived, and I died. And the command which was to result in life, this I found to result in death. For sin, having taken the occasion through the command, deceived me, and through it killed me. So that the Torah truly is set apart, and the command set apart, and righteous, and good. Therefore, has that which is good become death to me? Let it not be. But the sin, that sin might be manifest, was working death in me, though that what is good, so that the sin through the command might become an exceedingly greater sin. For we know that the Torah is spiritual, but I am freshly sold under sin. For what I work, I do not know. Verse 15. For what I work, I know not. For what I wish, that I do not practice, but what I hate, that I do. But if I do what I do not wish, I agree with the Torah that it is good. And now it is no longer that I work it, but the sin dwelling in me. For I know that in me, that is in my flesh, dwells no good. For to wish is to present with me, but to work the good I do not find. For the good that I wish to do, I do not do, but the evil I do not wish to do, this I practice. And if I do that which I do not wish, it is no longer I who work it, but the sin dwelling in me. I find therefore this law, that when I wish to do good, that the evil is present with me. For I delight in the Torah of Elohim, according to the inward man, but I see another Torah in my members, battling against the Torah of my mind, and bringing me into captivity to the Torah of sin, which is in my brothers. Wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from this body of death? Thanks to Elohim through Yeshua Messiah our Master. So then, with the mind, I myself truly serve the Torah of Elohim, but with the flesh of the Torah of sin. Shalom. Make it a great day. Read your Bible and talk to the Father.